Are you the person that everybody comes to when they want to share their woes with you, when they want to tell you what's going bad with their life, and you're the person who always puts an arm around them and then supports them and lifts them back up? Because if you are, and that's the only time people come to you, then the fact is you're probably being used. And that's really what I want to talk about in this video, and why you should stop making yourself available to everybody as soon as they contact you and want you to do something. Because in this life, we find, and I did certainly, that there was a period of time when people that I thought were my friends only kind of wanted me when they wanted something. I can remember a time way back, probably 10, 15 years ago, when I was in a group of people and they were making plans, and it became obvious to me that they were all going to be doing something, but they didn't want me with them. And I was at the time too unsure of myself, wasn't comfortable enough in myself to say, "Oi, what's going on? Why aren't you talking to me about it?" But that's the fact that people do. And I've been really bad at this. I used to get people who would only phone me when they wanted to dump on me, when they wanted to tell me what was going wrong in their lives. And then the minute you try and change the subject, or you wanted to tell them something on what was going on in yours, then they go and spin it back round again and want to talk about them. And that's a horrible way to live your life. I felt at one stage that it was getting really uncomfortable. I'd try and make get-together times. You know, like when people are talking to you, they'd always come and talk to you when they wanted something, when they wanted to tell you their woes and that. But the minute that you said to them, "Would you fancy meeting up? Should we do this or should we do that?" then they didn't want to know, or they couldn't make it because they're busy or they've got something on. And I found that was something that was happening to me quite often. And the more I talk to different people, the more I've realized that it wasn't just me that it was happening to. I've been one of them that spent far too long listening to people's woes and getting into that hole that they've dug themselves into and putting an arm around them and thinking that I was being a friend. And it wasn't until years later when I sort of extricated myself from that. And instead of putting them first and putting my arm around them, and I started coming up with ideas that would help them out of their own problem. And I started sharing things that I think could help them. And you know what? They didn't really want to know. They weren't that interested in me trying to help them. They just wanted someone who would listen, feel sorry for them, say all the right words, and then they could go back to their normal life and carry on. And that's a horrible thing to happen. When you're like that, you become a person that's only really wanted when they want you. And that's a horrible way to live your life, if the truth's known, because there's so much more to you. I know that. If you're watching this and you're even at this stage of the video, you know what I'm talking about. You've been there too. There's a thing, what I've noticed happens is that if you're not there for certain people's beck and call, they don't really ever contact you. And sometimes, because you're a friend, you'll go running, you do the running, you'll pick the phone up and you'll say, "How are you? Are you feeling better? Have you sorted this out?" and all that. And then they'll just dump on you again. But they never reciprocate. If you're going through all sorts of rubbish, I've noticed it with my health and that, people that will come to me when everything's going wrong don't want to know because I've been ill. It's people are people are people. And you'll have friends who are like fair weather friends, I suppose. They want you when they want you. And this isn't something that happens just when you're in the 20s and your 30s and we're all moving on in our lives. I've noticed it as you get older as well. And so my suggestion to you is to stop making yourself available. When people pick the phone up, the minute they start talking about what's going wrong and they want this and then, you know what it is? It's that blur, blur, blur sound. Well, that's the time when I've learnt that you've got to say, "I'm really sorry, I can't talk to you at the minute. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I'm going here, I'm going there. Something's on, I can't really talk at the minute. Can I ring you back later?" Put the phone down, don't ring them back. It sounds hard, it sounds cruel. But do you know what? Your self-worth is worth doing that for. You shouldn't have to have everyone using you as their punch ball, if you like. It's sometimes you need someone that you can dump on. There's no doubt about that. And that's okay if, when that person wants something, then you're willing to reciprocate. But the problem is, for a lot of us, a lot of people aren't like that. We somehow, over the years, seem to have got more selfish. I don't think it was all like that. It certainly wasn't in my mum and dad's day, but it is now, and it seems to be getting worse. And do you know what? The other thing is, I used to offer, have you done this? Has someone been going through something and they've come to you about it, and you've offered to do stuff for them, and offered to do this and offered to do that, and they've taken their up on it. And yet you suddenly find out along the grapevine that they're as right as rain with somebody else. When they're making their get-togethers for coffees and teas and chatting or going to the pub if you're a man, you know what I'm on about. And suddenly you aren't on the list of callers. You see, what happens is you've outlived your usefulness. And I'm sad to say that people do that all the time. It's an awful thing, I know, but the feeling that you get when you outlive your usefulness is one of loss. I know when I wasn't comfortable in my skin, I used to feel like, what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? Why have they stopped talking to me? Because especially when they're going through something and people will come at you with all of their woes and all of their sorrows and all of these things. And then the minute they overcome that and they're all right, they don't want to know you again. And I used to feel really upset about that. And that is what happens when you allow it to carry on. But you know something? When I started to feel better in my own skin, when I started to feel comfortable as who I was, I stopped being available. I stopped feeling available. And don't get me wrong, although I was upset, I was angry as well with people, but you're better off walking away and saying nothing. Just keep quiet, keep your own counsel. Let them miss you. Don't be there. Don't be available when they come to you to unload their woes on you. If you find that, I'm sure you know people that do this to you. And I know that I've had it, certainly. But it's at those times when you've got to hold your head back up high, have some self-respect, do the same to them when they don't want to know you. You have to live with yourself. I felt so bad for so long because I would put myself out for other people, but they wouldn't do it for me. Sometimes you've just got to walk away for your own good, for your own self-respect. You know when you're being used. You may try to pretend it's not true, but you do. And the only thing I can say to you is say to yourself, enough's enough. I deserve better than this. Walk away and move on in your life. If they phone up after a while and ask you about how you're getting on and what you're doing, then they may possibly still be friend material. But if after a while you haven't spoken to them and then they moan that you haven't been in touch or you haven't spoken to them, you could use your I'm busy again. But you don't have to put up with it. Decide who you want in your life, because there are enough people out there who are willing to be your friend, who would like to be a good friend, who will support you when you're down, celebrate with you when you're up. And you can do the same with them. You'll find those people are out there. But sometimes, you just got to call it a day. And that's only one of the reasons that you sometimes have to walk away, because there are 6 signs that your friendship is over. And if you click up there on that video, I'll tell you all about it. I'll see you next time.